Hi everybody and welcome back to this episode from the 1 Hour AppSec series. My name is Laura Belmain and I am going to be your coach and guide for all things application security throughout this time. In this video, we're going to talk about the jobs to be done in application security. Now, if you've ever done anything in the marketing space before, or ever worked with somebody who's trying to really define a problem, you might be familiar with the jobs to be done framework. And that's an idea that you look at a persona for a person, and you look at the jobs, the items they have to do, and you come up with solutions to those. Now, in the product world, that's how you come up with a product that solves a job. But in the security world, we have a lot of jobs to be done. And so we're leaning on that framework a little bit today, and we are going to talk about the types and categories of jobs that you need to be aware of in the security world. Now, the first thing that we need to know is that there is a lot to do, and you're never going to be able to get all of this done in just one go. So it's okay to break this down and to tackle jobs one at a time as you have resource and time to do them. There are two categories of jobs that we want to talk about. The first are scheduled. Now, scheduled, like it kind of alludes to in the name, is those things that happen on a recurring basis. So that could be something you're supposed to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. It doesn't matter what the frequency is, but it's repeating on a predictable basis based only on the passage of time, nothing else. Now, in security, and particularly in secure development, there are certain things that fit into that. So, for example, we're going to do in future sprints, we're going to talk a lot about access control. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, spoilers, is reviewing who has access to your projects and who has access to your environments, your production environments. Now, that could be something you do dynamically when somebody leaves the organization, for example, but it's also something really good to do on a recurring basis. So we typically say, for example, quarterly, we would like you to go and review who has access to your source code repos on GitHub. Right. So we've got a job to be done that we're going to do quarterly. Annually, you might be used to the idea of getting penetration tested, having an external person or organization come and test your application for security vulnerabilities. And some of the most common wording out there in security frameworks is the following: your application should be penetration tested annually or on significant business change. Now, I'll come back to that second part in a moment. That's important. But annually is our baseline. So we've got another item for our calendar. And what you can see is that you build up a calendar of activities. Some are nice to have. So they may be part of a compliance framework. They might be, a really good hygiene check. And some are quite essential. So you want to, for example, check your logs every day or your monitoring tool. Now, that's essential because if you don't check your logs, you're not going to see the bad things happening. So there we go. Examples of daily, weekly, hourly, monthly, annual tasks, scheduled tasks that we need to build up a calendar of to get on with our security journey in a manageable way. So what about those things that fit outside the calendar? Let's talk a little bit about what I call triggered or dynamic security actions. Now, these happen when another action occurs. So in our scheduled, there's no external influence. The passage of time is the only thing that's changed. But on the triggered and dynamic side, something has happened to cause it. It's like being interrupt driven in application security. A good example of this is you submit a pull request. Every time you submit a pull request, that might be a trigger to a security action, such as review that change with a security lens, something we're going to dig into a few sprints from now. It doesn't just need to be your pull request, though. It doesn't have to be the code you're writing. It could also be that somebody has left your team. That would be a trigger for you to go and do some things. It could be that you've had a notification from one of your tools or suppliers that says, hey, we've had an incident, or hey, we've made a change and you need to make a change too. Now, that's a dynamic event. You can't predict that happening, but when it does happen, you need to respond. And so we need to balance our time in application security between scheduled events that are good hygiene, good consistent behaviors we do over time, and those dynamic events that happen when things happen around us. Now, if you check out the full newsletter for 1HourAppSec for this sprint, you will find an example calendar of the types of event we're talking about. And in further videos, we're going to dig into how to get started with managing these events and how to automate yourself out of some of those jobs. Thanks for joining me. Check out the other videos in the sprint and in fact the wider 1 Hour AppSec series. And if you like this, please subscribe to the channel. Please like and please comment. I really want to see what you're doing. So show your work and let's see if we can make the world a little bit more secure in just 1 hour per sprint.